Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Inha University, Day 1 of the spring semester 2020. This is Business English 2, and this is the online video lecture for Monday, March 16, 2020. This, of course, is the College of Business Administration, the Global Finance and Banking Department, and this is Business English 2. I will be your instructor for this course, and my name is John X. Hall. Just real quick, the way English names are written, John is my first name. X is the first letter of my middle name. So we call that my middle initial. Initial meaning first. First letter is the middle initial. And my last name, my family name, is Hall. Now, just keep in mind the pronunciation here. The way my name is written in Korean, sometimes people pronounce it like hole, like a hole in the ground, an opening. Okay? It's not. That's a different pronunciation. This is an ah sound, not an o sound. So hall, like a city hall, a concert hall, that type of thing. Okay, so in English we have first name, middle name, or in this case middle initial. Initial is the first letter of the middle name, and then last name. Now the last name is also our family name, and it's also called our surname. S-U-R-N-A-M-E, surname. Okay? Our last name, our family name, is given to us by our parents. It's automatic. However, our first and middle names are chosen by our family. I should put it that way. The last name is sort of automatic. The first and middle name is given to us by our family. So the first and middle name together, that is called our given name, because it is given to us by our parents. First and middle name together. And those are written first, middle name in the middle, of course, and then our last name is our family name or our surname. Okay? And this will be important later when we're doing some documents and filling things out, and we'll look at Korean names and see how they are written. Okay? But I just wanted to cover that real quick while I was introducing myself. Okay, so this is a sign from a school in the U.S., a middle school. It says, "Welcome back, students. We are glad you are here." Do you see anything wrong with that? Is there a problem there? Okay. Some of you have probably noticed that the word here is incorrect. We are glad you are here. H-E-A-R, that's like listening. You hear something. You hear a sound. You hear a noise. You hear with your ears. Notice the spelling, E-A-R, E-A-R. So you hear with your ears. Okay, that's a good way to remember that. But we are glad you are here. We are glad you are here. Location, place. How do we spell that? That is spelled H-E-R-E. Now notice that here and here are pronounced exactly the same. Words that have the same pronunciation are called homonyms. Homo, meaning the same. So homonyms have the same pronunciation, the same sound. Okay? So, and And there's a couple of other words that are very similar to that. They're not quite homonyms, but they are very close to that. So if we look at those, here and here are pronounced exactly the same. Why don't you try to say that while you're watching this? Here, 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 here. Now you try it. Okay, now we have hair, like the hair on your head. Hair. So this is he, hair. Here, hair. So different pronunciation. You're going to say here, here, hair, and hair. These two are homonyms. They're similar, they're close to these two, but they're not. Okay, these two are the same, these two are the same, but all four of them are not the same. Okay, these two are different than these two. So, here, here, hair, and hair. What is a hare? H-A-R-E. What is hair? Have you heard the story of the tortoise and the hare? What is a tortoise? The tortoise is a turtle, and the hare, of course, is a rabbit. Okay? So, a hare is a rabbit, tortoise is a turtle. So, those words, again, let me go back to that slide. Here, here, hair, hair. These two are homonyms, and these two are homonyms. Okay? Now, you may notice here that I've got the PowerPoint slides going on the one side of the screen here, and then obviously the video camera here. And this is actually just a Microsoft Word document that I've got kind of stuck in the corner there that I'm using as a whiteboard, like I would use a whiteboard in the classroom. I have a lot of information in the PowerPoint slides, but everything is not there. So sometimes I supplement that with a little bit with the whiteboard. So I will be putting things here that you should put in your notes, things that you should pay attention to, things that you should remember. Okay? If I put something here, that means it's important and you should pay attention to that. Okay? And of course, anything on the PowerPoint slides. Now, obviously, we're starting late this semester, 2 weeks late because of the novel coronavirus. What does the word novel mean? You're probably familiar with that from books, novels, stories that people have written. Okay? That's one definition of it. In this case, a novel coronavirus means it's new. There are several different types of coronaviruses. This is a new strain, a new type of coronavirus that we have not seen before. So in this case, novel means new. Coronavirus is a type of virus, obviously. Corona refers to the shape. The way the virus is shaped, it has like a crown shape, like a crown a king or queen would put on their head. Okay? Just like the sun, if you look at the sun during a solar eclipse, you'll see that ring around it that kind of looks like a crown going around the edge of the sun. That's where that word comes from. That is also the sun's corona. Okay? The coronavirus is the virus, of course, that makes people sick. The disease that they get is called COVID-19, which stands for corona. Oops. Stands for corona, VI for virus, D for disease. So coronavirus disease. 19 stands for 2019 because this virus was first discovered, first noticed in late December of 2019. So this the disease, the sickness that people get is called COVID-19, caused by the novel coronavirus. Obviously, that has caused us to start 2 weeks late this semester. And of course, we are doing online courses now for at least the first 2 weeks of the semester. There is a possibility that that will be extended to 4 weeks or maybe even longer. We don't know about that yet, but of course, if that changes, the university will let all of us know. I would ask you, as we are adapting to this, the new technology, the new requirement here to do everything online, this is a new situation for me and for your other professors, and of course for all of you. So we all need to be patient and work together and try to understand that this is a new situation for all of us, and something that we are all trying to figure out very quickly. As you can see on my screen here, I've got PowerPoint here, a video camera here, and then the Word document here that I'm using as a whiteboard. And all of that is being captured with a screen capture program that I'm running at the same time. And then, of course, everything has to be uploaded to YouTube and then to Blackboard. So it's a long process. So I would ask you to bear with me. I'm sure you're familiar with the expression bear if you bear something. Or people might say, oh, I can't bear it, I can't stand it, I can't take it, I can't handle it. Okay? The expression bear with me simply means be patient. These videos are not being professionally produced. I'm recording these by myself in the office. So I don't really have the ability right now to edit them. So I will make mistakes, as you've already seen. There will be errors or mistakes that I make. This is not being professionally done. So please understand and bear with me as I try to create these video lectures for at least the first couple of weeks here. So, with the delay here, school starts March 16th, online. Resistance is futile. What does that mean? Resistance is futile. If you resist something, you don't accept it easily. You fight against it. If somebody's trying to push you and you push back, if you fight against that, you resist. The noun is resistance. Okay? If your effort is successful, then you have resisted successfully. However, this says that school starts March 16th. Some of you may not be ready for that. You may be enjoying the longer break, or you're not looking forward to online classes. So you wish we could just keep waiting and delay the start of the semester. However, here it is, March 16th, and we are doing online courses. So you can try to stay in bed all day. You can say, oh, I don't want this to start. I don't want to do this. But it will start. I have to record the videos, and they are here for you to watch. School starts March 16th. So you can resist, you can try to fight it, but your effort will not succeed. So if resistance is futile, futile means that it is unsuccessful. It's wasted effort. You will not succeed. Your resistance was pointless. It was wasted effort. You will not succeed. Okay? So I kind of like this sign. I thought it would be a good way to start the class off. All right. So today, obviously, this is the first lecture of the semester, so we need to do some basic course introduction material. Okay? So make sure that you have something to write with. You'll need a notebook or a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil, something to take notes with. If you need to go get something, if you're not prepared with that yet, go ahead and pause the video and then just restart it once you come back. So I'll take a brief pause here so that if you need to go get something to write with, you can do that. Okay. I would suggest that you have a separate notebook just for this course, okay, so that you can keep all of your notes and materials for this course in one place, so that you don't get confused or everything doesn't get all mixed up together, okay? So, one of the most basic things when you start a course is you need to know how to address your professor, okay? What does this mean here? How should you address your professor? What does address mean? Well, if you send an email, you have somebody's email address that tells the location that the email is going to. If you send a letter or a package through the post office, you have to write the address on the envelope or the box. That's the location, the street address, where it is going to. This is a little different meaning, okay? How should you address your professor? That means how should you speak to? What do you say to get their attention? What do you call them when you speak to them, okay? So another usage here, let me point out real quick, is we talk about a public address. Public address system, you'll hear sometimes on campus. In the mornings or sometimes at lunchtime, they will play music and make announcements over the speakers placed around campus. That is a public address system. It means it's not just a private message, but it's going out to everybody within listening range. You'll hear that at airports, at schools, the bongo trucks selling onions on the street have public address systems. Okay, we will abbreviate that as a PA system. So a PA system is a public address system. Okay, so a little vocabulary for you there. Now, how should you address your professor? Well, my name is John X. Hall, but when we talk to people, do we use their full name? Hello, John X. Hall. No, that sounds kind of strange, okay? So you would not use my full name when you're talking to me. So what would you call me? Well, Dr. Hall sounds really nice, but I do not have a PhD. I do not have a doctoral degree. I have an MBA degree, which, as you may know, is a Master of Business Administration. So right now, you guys are studying a bachelor's degree. When you finish that, then you are graduates. So if you go back to university, you'd go to graduate school. The first level of that would be a master's program, like an MBA or a master's in business or something, or some other field. If you go beyond that, that would be a doctoral degree, a doctorate. Okay, that's where you would get a PhD. So Dr. Hall sounds nice, but that's not me. Mr. Hall is my father. Now, I'm old enough, obviously, and that is an appropriate title for me, Mr. Hall, but it still sounds strange to me. Okay. Teacher. I am a teacher. That is my profession. In this course, I am your teacher, but my name is not teacher, teacher. Okay. In America, that would sound sort of childish. That's what children would say before they learned how to use people's names correctly. They would just say, teacher. Okay. So even though I am a teacher, that would be an awkward way to call my name, okay, or to get my attention. John is my name. People have been calling me John for my entire life, and I'm okay with that. So if you want to use my first name, you may do so. Now, in Korea, can you use your professor's first name? Can you call your professors by their first name? No, of course not. Okay, that would be considered very rude and disrespectful. What about in Western cultures? Is that okay? Is it appropriate to call people by their first name? It's totally up to the individual. It's a personal decision. Some professors prefer that you use the title doctor plus their last name. Some are okay with their first name, and they will tell you what they prefer. One of my professors in my MBA program was Dr. David. His last name was Luechauer, Luechauer. Dr. David Luechauer. Now, he did not want to be called Dr. Luechauer. He thought that was too formal. He didn't really like that. So he didn't want us to call him that. But he didn't want us to just call him David either. So what he used was Doc, which is short for doctor, and Dave, which is sort of a informal form of David. So Doc Dave. Okay? Now, and that was his preferred name to be called, was Doc Dave. Now notice here his last name, Luechauer. Luechauer. It's kind of a difficult name. Lots of U's and E's and A's in there. Dr. Luechauer had a policy that if we turned in a paper, a report, he said if we misspelled his name, that we would fail the course. Because he said if we did not care enough to spell his name correctly, then we did not deserve to pass the class. Now you guys are lucky because my last name is very simple. Just 4 letters, Hall. Please spell it correctly. So, you can call me John if you want to. However, some of you may not be comfortable with that, and that's okay. So if you're more comfortable with calling me Professor, that is my job title, you may call me Professor. Or you can use Professor Hall, my title plus my last name, Professor Hall, not Professor John. That sounds strange also. So you can call me John, or Professor Hall. Any of those are acceptable and okay. Alright? So take a look at the cartoon here. So, okay, let's see. Jiwon, Juwon, Juyoung, and Junyoung. Yeah. So today we're going to talk about nicknames. So I've told you what to call me, how to address me. Today let's talk about how to address you. Now, it's very common when you are studying a foreign language to use a nickname in that language. And I'm going to ask you to do that for this course. Okay? And that's a very common thing when you are studying another language. My name, of course, in English is John. When I was in high school, I took French. And in French class, we had to choose a French nickname. So I was Jean. Wait, Jean? No, that's not French. That's Jean is like blue jeans. Okay? So no. How is that pronounced in French? Jean in French is pronounced Jean. So I was Jean in high school. Now, John and Jean are sort of equivalent names. They're similar in English and French, but they are different names, even though they have a similar sound. In university, I took Spanish. Again, we had to choose a Spanish nickname. So I chose Juan. Just like the subway station over here. Juan. Oh wait, let's but that's Spanish. How do you pronounce that in Spanish? In Spanish, a J is pronounced like an H in English. So instead of a J, it's a H. So it's Juan. So, again, Juan is similar to John, sort of the equivalent in Spanish, but it is a Spanish name. Then, several years ago, I took a short Korean course. Again, we had to choose a nickname in that language. So I chose Minsung. Why Minsung? That doesn't sound anything like John. Well, in Korean, I did not know what was a good name or a bad name, or a boy's name or a girl's name, what would be a stupid name. I had no idea. So I borrowed my friend's name. So when you choose a nickname for this class, you have a choice. You may be able to find something in English that sounds similar, that has a similar pronunciation to your Korean name. If you want to choose something like that, that is fine. A good example of that would be somebody whose name was Hana. They might choose the English name Hannah. Similar pronunciation, but a little bit different, but pretty close. Okay? Now, some names that will work for, and some it will not work for. So you may not have that option. You may borrow somebody's name. Use a name of somebody you know, or somebody you admire, somebody you like, or you just like the sound of the name. Maybe a friend, maybe a celebrity, maybe a sports star, maybe an actor or a fictional character. It doesn't really matter, okay? But it does need to be an English language name, okay? Also, in Korean, names have special meanings. The same is true in English. Names have meanings. So you may want to find a name that has a similar meaning to your name. And there are websites that have meanings of names where you can Google them. And you can find these websites where they'll give the meanings of thousands of names. So you can search for something that has a similar meaning to your real name. Okay? So I'd like you to choose a nickname to use in this class. And I'd like you to choose that by next Monday, which will be March 23rd. So you have a week to do that. Okay? To choose a nickname for use in this classroom. Okay? Alright, moving on. Attendance. Now that I'll know what to call you, we'll be able to check attendance. The attendance policy for the course is that attendance is required. This is a university requirement. This is also true for these online courses. You will need to watch the video during the regular class time, and on Blackboard there will be an assignment for you to complete during the class time, before class is over, where you will need to answer a simple question. It'll be a very short question, a very simple answer, but you do need to complete that within the class time so that you get credit, or so that you get counted for attendance. Okay, so make sure you do that. That's really important. Once we start having face-to-face classes in the classroom, if you are absent, you will need documentation for an excused absence. That means you have a good reason, a valid reason. If you do not have a valid reason, then it would be considered an unexcused absence. Okay? For an unexcused absence, for each one, you lose 1 point from your final grade. This will also apply if you do not attend the online video lectures. If you are more than 30 minutes late, that will count as an absence. And if you're less than 30 minutes late 3 times, that is considered 1 absence also. So if you're late 10 minutes one day and 20 minutes another day and 15 minutes another day, all 3 of those together count as 1 absence. So that will be 1.1% deducted from your final grade. If you accumulate a total of 8 absences during the entire semester, that equals 25% of our classes. And if you have 8 absences, you will receive an automatic F for the semester. That is a university policy that I cannot change. I must follow that if I want to keep my job. Okay? So keep that in mind, especially with these online classes. It is really important that you watch them at the scheduled time. Grading for the course, the point distribution. This may change a little bit depending on when exactly we start face-to-face classes. If that gets extended to 4 or 6 weeks or something, I may have to change how the grades are distributed, but it will basically be attendance and participation. We'll count 10%. Journals, which I'll explain later, 10%. Homework, other written assignments that you have to do, 10%. Quizzes throughout the semester, 20%. Some of those will be pretty big, some of those will be smaller, okay? Some will be pretty simple, some will be much more intense. The midterm exam will be 20% of your final grade, and the final exam is 30%. Keep in mind that the final exam is cumulative. What does that mean? Cumulative. Cumulative. Do you know what that means? If something is cumulative, that means it accumulates, it builds up. So that's related to the word accumulate. Something builds up, whether it's money or debt can accumulate, or if it's snowing, snow can accumulate, it can build up over time. So an exam that is cumulative, it builds. So things that we do here in the first week or two, you will use those things in weeks 3 and 4, and week 6, and week 10, and week 15. Everything builds. So the final exam is cumulative, which means that there will be questions on the final exam that cover the entire semester. Okay? Because in English, in language, things that you learn one day are necessary for things that you do the next day. Okay? So keep in mind that everything we talk about this semester could appear on the final exam. Okay? So make sure that you're taking good notes, that you're not missing classes, that you're paying attention. Okay? This course does use relative grading. A maximum of 30% of the students will receive an A or an A+. B's, a maximum of 40%, and which means that at least 30% of you will receive a C or below. This is university policy. Now, I will say the last couple of semesters, they have raised this to 35%, and I think this to 45%, but they could change it again. Okay, so I think I'd rather be safe and tell you it's 30 and 40, and then if they do increase those percentages later, then we're all happy, or happier. Okay, but I don't want to tell you that it's a higher percentage now and then have it change later. Okay, so let's go with this for now. If it does change later, then I'll let you know. Okay, email. Especially during the first part of the semester here, when we don't have face-to-face classes. If you have questions, if you need to talk to me, if you need to contact me about something, email will be the best way. Okay. My email address is John X. Hall, so that's my first name, my middle initial, my last name, at gmail.com. Notice this little symbol here. It looks like the letter A, and then it's got the little circular part there. It's like a little abbreviation for at, and that's exactly how we pronounce it, at. John X. Hall at Gmail. At the end of a sentence, this is a period. If it's in a number, like 3.21, it's point or a decimal point. But in an email address or a website, it's a dot. So that would be johnexhall@gmail.com. Okay? And email, of course, is available 24 hours. You can email me at any time. Now, depending on what time of day it is and what I'm doing, sometimes I may answer right away. Of course, other times it may take longer. I am generally more of a night owl. I tend to stay up later at night and sleep later most mornings, except, of course, when I have to be here. So if you email me at 2 in the morning, I may answer right away. If you email me at 7 a.m., I'm probably sleeping. Okay? So just keep that in mind. And sometimes I may need to access a computer or look something up or talk to the office or something before I can give you an answer. So if I don't answer right away, don't panic, okay? But I will get back to you as soon as I can. Now, there are some guidelines here for emailing me, okay? Make sure that you have a good international email address. Sometimes students will use things like Hotmail or Naver or Dom, and if you email me from those, I will receive your email. However, when I reply to you, some of those will block anything that is not Korean. So I may receive your email, but if I reply to you to your Hotmail address, Hotmail may block that. So you may never get my reply. Okay, so you need to have a good international email address. I would recommend Google. That's what most people use. That's probably the most common right now. There are others you could use, like Hotmail or Yahoo or something like that. But Gmail is good, and of course it's free. Make sure you have a professional sounding email address. Okay. When you were in middle school and high school, if you had something about, cute girl or genius or sexy something, that was kind of cute and fun. Okay? Now that you're in university, you're going to be applying for jobs, you need to have a professional sounding email address. Using your name is always good. Okay? Something to be aware of, something to be careful with, is the use of numbers and letters. For example, in this font here on the right, if I type a lowercase l, a small l, and the number 1, and a capital I, those all look exactly the same, don't they? In this font, you cannot tell the difference. So if I put those in any order, it would be impossible for anyone to tell what they are. So be really careful with that your email address is easy to read and it's not confusing. Now, if I use a different font here, let me highlight that and change the font. It's Comic Sans. Now, here you can see, oh, that's an L, that's a 1, and that's an I. Some fonts will make them look different, some will not, so be very careful with that. Now, if I stay in this font and I type a 0 and a capital O, again, those look almost exactly the same. You'll notice that the 0 is a little narrower and the O is more round. But to expect somebody to be able to see that and tell the difference is not a good idea. Okay? So again, be very careful when you're using combinations of letters and numbers that it's very easy and clear for somebody to read. Okay? Email addresses should be very simple and easy. Passwords should be difficult and complicated. Okay, so don't make your email address difficult to read. When you email me, in the subject line of your email, you should include your name, that will be your English nickname, your ID number. In this class, I will give you a shorter ID number, okay? Not your whole long university ID, but a short email or a short ID number, and tell me which class you're in, okay? So for example, if I was sending an email to myself, I would write John. My ID number, for this class, it will start with 2. So let's say 225. And then Business English 2. Business English 2, that's a long thing, so we can sort of shorten that. We shorten business sometimes to biz. Now that's spelled differently, obviously. Business is B-U-S. But that's bus. So we don't want to write bus. But if we listen to the pronunciation, business sounds like B-I-Z. So business 2. Business English 2. Biz 2. Okay, that's what you would want to put in the subject line of your email. Okay, so that I know who it is from. Also, when you email me, do not send HWP files. Okay. This is an English language course. HWP was designed for Hangul. It works well for Hangul. It does not work well for English. Okay, the formatting and everything looks really strange. Plus, on my computer and everything, it's difficult for me to open Hangul files. Okay, and they don't handle English well. So please do not send HWP files. If you are sending me something in this class, you'd probably be sending me either a Microsoft Word file or possibly a PowerPoint file. Okay. Now, if you do not have Microsoft Office, you can get it from Microsoft. They have a program to provide university students with a free version of Microsoft Office, which includes Word and PowerPoint and Excel and some of the other programs they have with that. You do need to use your university ID, or I'm sorry, your university email address to verify that. Okay, and also Windows 10. You can get a free upgrade to Windows 10. If you're running Windows 7 or Vista or something, if you have not upgraded to Windows 10, you can also get a free upgrade to Windows 10 from Microsoft. Okay. If you need information about that, if you're unable to find that on Google or on the Microsoft website, contact me and we can find the information that you need to install those. And these are completely free programs that you can run. Okay, so keep that in mind. My office hours this semester will be a little different here at the beginning because I will be recording at different times because we have to upload these before the classes start. So I won't always be on campus during the regular class times. However, you can email me at any time, and these are my probable office hours once we start meeting face-to-face. My office is room 6-107. 6 is building 6, of course, where you are, or where we have our classes. 107 is the first floor. The admin office is actually on the second floor, so the first floor feels more like a basement. If you take the elevator down to the first floor, when you get off the elevator, you see the copy and print center to the left. My office is down the hallway to the right. Okay, 107. On Mondays, I plan on being in the office, available from 6 to 8 p.m. My last class ends at 5:45, so I'll be back to the office. Should be no later than 6, and I will always be on campus till about 8 o'clock. Okay. Unfortunately, I do have a very full schedule in the afternoon, so I really don't have time before this to meet with students. Unless it's something quick between classes. Thursday, 10:30 to 11:30 a.m. by appointment. Okay, I will normally be on campus during that time, but if you want to make sure I'm going to be in the office, make an appointment with me. Okay, and again from 6 to 8 p.m. Thursday night. All right. If those times do not work, talk to me, contact me, and we can make some other arrangement, or we can chat on Kakao or something like that. especially during these first couple of weeks while we are online. I will not necessarily be on campus during these times. So if you do need to talk to me, if you want to make an appointment to meet with me, please email me first, because I will not be on campus at these times during the first couple of weeks, probably. Okay? So, this is Business English 2. What's the purpose of this course? When these classes were introduced about 8 years ago, Professor Hahn asked me to teach Business English 1 and Business English 2. Now, those course titles don't tell you much, do they? Well, he wanted a speaking-based class and a writing-based class. Business English 1 is a speaking-based class. It's a presentations course. So, Business English 2 is a writing-based class, which means that all of your work in this course, almost everything you do, will be written. Okay? Now, writing correctly and properly in English is really important. When you're speaking, when you're talking, sometimes you can make mistakes. You can pronounce something incorrectly. You can make a simple grammar error, and people won't notice it as much because it quickly goes away. When you're speaking, you don't have to worry about capitalization or spelling or punctuation. Those things don't exist when you're speaking. Now, we do use sort of spoken punctuation with our pauses and our emphasis and things like that, but you don't have to worry about the spacing and the formatting and all of those things. Okay? So, when you're writing, though, it's permanent, it's printed, it's in a file, and so it's much easier for people to see those mistakes. So, accuracy in writing, in business writing, in formal writing is extremely important, which is why we focus on that. So a lot of this course will focus on accuracy and correctness and proper word usage. You'll get a lot of vocabulary. We've already talked about a few homonyms. We'll look at some spelling problems. We'll look at some very basic grammar points. And I say basic because they're things that everybody should know, and you've probably studied at some point. But there are things that even native speakers struggle with sometimes. Some of the most basic things are sometimes the most difficult things. So we'll work on some of those to help improve your accuracy, your correctness in using English. Because when you make written errors, especially, they can cause major problems. Sometimes they cost money, they can cost clients, they can cause your company to lose credibility and respect. Okay, so accuracy is really, really important. There's an article I would like you to read. This is from the Harvard Business Review, and it says, "I won't hire people who use poor grammar." Here's why. Okay, I've saved this as a PDF file, and I will upload this on Blackboard. I'd like you to read through this, and it gives some good examples of why it's important for you to use correct grammar. Okay, and that's why that's going to be one of the focuses, or one of the things we'll be working on this semester. Okay, so please read through that. Okay. We're also going to be doing some warm-up exercises. Just like at schools in Korea, it's really common for kids to exercise before class out in the playground or the courtyard. This is some kids from Songmyeong Elementary School doing their warm-up exercises. Just like they're warming up their bodies, we're going to kind of warm up your brains here before we get started in the semester. This is a Korean construction company in Phnom Penh, also doing stretching and warm-up exercises to warm up their bodies before they start doing the physical labor. We're going to do some warm-up exercises to sort of warm up your brains, to get your brains functioning before we get into the details of the semester, okay? There's an online quiz. There's a link for it here. Unfortunately, since I've started using this, when I checked it this week, all of the images, the visuals that go with this have disappeared. Okay, so you can try this link if you want to. It may work sometimes, but what I've done is I've taken screenshots of all of the questions, and I've got those here in the PowerPoint. Okay, so you can try the link if you want, and it will tell you immediately whether you got the question right or wrong. So that's kind of fun. If not, you can just write your answers on paper and then compare with the slides in Thursday's class. So I just want to go through these slides. There are about 16 questions, okay? And I'm just going to flip through them, and if you need more time to read them or study them, just pause the video where you need to so that you can take as much time as you need to answer each question. Then write your answer down, and then in Thursday's class we will go over these questions and you can see what your score is, okay? Or you can check it online, all right? So this is from BuzzFeed, okay? And this is called, or the title here is, Do You Actually Know English? Do you actually know it? Do you really know English? You might think you know English, and this is not just because you're not native speakers. This applies also to native speakers. That's who it's designed for. Do you actually know English? Are you really good at it? Okay? And if you look at the top here, it says, find out if you're in good grammatical standing with the English language. Okay? If you look at the line right here, find out if you're in good grammatical standing with the English language. What does that mean, to be in good standing with something? Well, in good standing, if we look it up in the dictionary, means in favor or on good terms with someone. That means there's nothing negative there. You're on good terms. The example here, the companies wanted to stay in good standing with the government. That means they wanted to follow all of the rules and regulations. They didn't want to violate the government policies and get in trouble or receive a fine or some sort of restriction on their business. So they're in good standing, okay? Another way we use that at the university level or in schools, if you are in good academic standing, that means your grades are okay. If you've got a really low GPA, you might be on academic probation. Academic probation means that, let me put that on the next line. Academic probation, academic, of course, relating to your grades, like an academy. Probation means you're in trouble. That means if you don't raise your grades, then you may lose your opportunity to study, okay? So if you're on academic probation, that would mean you are not in good standing academically with the university. So this could be in good standing financially, academically, legally. It has lots of different uses, okay? So if you're in good standing with the English language, that means the English language is happy with you. You're doing a good job. Okay, so I'm gonna. You see the timer here, the clock at the top of on this slide. Again, just go through these questions at your own speed. Pause the video where you need to. Okay. So I'm going to kind of slide out of the frame here, and I'm just going to click through these slides. I'll leave it on each one for a few seconds. And pause the video where you need to, or go back so you have more time to read it, okay? And answer these questions and we'll go over these in class or on the video for Thursday, okay? Okay, so our time is up for that one, and let's stop there for today. And on Thursday, we will go over the answers. Of course, if you want to go back and look at those again and look things up, study them, these are things that will make very good quiz or exam questions. So you want to make sure you're familiar with the vocabulary, the expressions that are in these questions or anything that we do in the class. Okay, so thank you for watching our first class today, and I will see you again on Thursday. Have a good afternoon.